Hi everybody, this is Oksana, and in this video, I'm wrapping this stone here. You might remember this from a haul that I did recently, an unboxing. This was one of those little odd shapes that I got, so I thought that'd be good to make a video because you guys might have some odd shapes that you might not know what to do with. So this was a beautiful moss agate, so I kind of went with a swirly, leafy design here that I thought worked nicely with this stone. So if you want to see how I made this, just keep watching. And what I do with my pendants that I make from my tutorials is I finish this up, I oxidize the copper and all that, and then I put it up for auction on the community tab of my YouTube channel. And members of my YouTube channel can see the auctions. Members that are friend level and insider level. I have 3 different levels, and so they can see and bid on the auction. If you want to learn more about memberships, you can click down there. There's like a join button that will explain that. But anyway, that's what I do with the pendants from my videos. So let's get started making this swirly leafy pendant. So here's my stone, my moss agate stone, and it's kind of hard to measure. It depends on, you know, how you hold it. Like if you hold it like this, it's almost like an inch, but if you kind of turn it with the point up and go down to here, like the tallest that it can be is about 30 millimeters, a little bit more than an inch. But yeah, it's kind of an odd shape here. And so I'm just going to show you how I make my frame, and this this will work for many odd shapes. I think the key thing is just to kind of look at your stone, to position it. Like I want it to be like this in my pendant, right? Maybe you want it to be like that, but it's all about bending the frame around the shape of your stone, and then having that frame kind of come together at the top where you want the bail to be. So if you're holding it like this, and maybe it will come up here, but if I hold it like this, then it'll kind of go up the edges and come together here. But really, you can make these wire frames that I do for many of my pendant designs. You can make them for many stone shapes. It's all about bending the frame around the shape of your stone. So I have 3 pieces of 21 gauge wire that are 12 inches long, and this is just square copper wire from Rio Grande. And then if I go to the middle here and I hold it in the middle, and then I take some half round wire. So mine is 24 gauge. You can use 24 or 22, just like for the base wires. I'm using 21, but you can use 20 as well. 20 is a little thicker, especially if you have a bigger stone. So I'm just taking the little end here of my half round wire, and I'm wrapping it around. And because it's a little wire end and it's not connected to the spool, it's easy to just wrap around like this. But then if I were to make this longer, this is plenty for a connection. It's going to hold our 3 wires together. But if you wanted to keep going with this, so this is connected to the spool, so it'll get twisted if I go around this way. So I have to just guide it and turn the 3 wires. And that's how you do the half round wire that's connected to the spool, so it doesn't twist. So once you're done with that and you have a nice connection, mine's really long here, you just want the ends of your wire to end up on the same side. So I'm just going to trim them on the same side here, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see. So as I press down, you can see that little wire end there, and then the wire end here at the top. So I'm just pressing down on the whole thing, just squishing it like this. And you can also squish it this way, so there's no gaps. So the way our stone is we have a nice sharp point here on the bottom, like you could have a shape similar to this, but the bottom could be rounded, for example, and then you would just want to make a nice kind of curvature in your wire to fit that. But ours is a sharp bend, so we're just gonna make a sharp bend, and the wire ends are right here on this side. It's gonna be the side that touches the stone, so that way the wire ends get hidden by the stone and they're not exposed. So that worked out well. It's pretty much the same angle. So if I bend my frame, you can put this down flat on like a table to make it easier, but if I bend my frame, I'm just kind of going here, and then you want to hold your stone however you want to, position it. So I want it to be like this. So I want it to come together kind of right here. So it's not really centered. Like if you look at this edge here, the bail is not just right here at the center of it. It's more closer to this side. And that's just because that's how I wanted to position the stone. So then if I take the stone out here with my pliers, I'm just kind of reinforcing these bends a little bit because I just made them with my fingers, so they're not like that sharp. There we go. So I've reinforced the bends here, and I have the wires coming together nicely. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my half round wire again, and I'm just going to connect them. So you want them to lay down right next to each other, and they're square, so they got those nice flat edges, so they kind of stack together. So you want them just stacked together, 3 on each side, and I'm just wrapping this around to connect them. And I'm just going to get rid of this wire end by tucking it from back to front and just pulling on it. So if you want to see that up close, here it is. It's going from back to front, and I'm just trimming it off. So let me zoom back out a little bit. So for my bail, I'm just going to take the frontmost 2 wires like this, and the other wires I'm just going to kind of bend away from them to give me this space. And I'm just going to continue wrapping this half round wire, and I'm going to wrap it around these front 2 wires for my bail. So if you want a really tall bail, you can do this, for quite a bit, or the opposite if you want a small bail. So I'm just going to do this for a little bit, and I'll come right back. All right, so this is tall enough to make a nice good bail. So I'm just trimming that off, and I have the little wire end here on the back. So this is the front, that's the back. And I'm just squishing this down. Squish, 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 squish. Nice and flat. So there we have our nice bail there. And with these wires here, there's 2 wires on each side here. So I'm just gonna bring these 2 to one side and these 2 to the other side. And what I'm gonna do with my bail is I'm just gonna shape it into that nice bail shape, and I'm gonna tuck the wires through the frame. So here's our bail, here's the wires coming through, and I'm just going to take one of them, so I'm just going to do the left one, and I'm wrapping it around, so it came right here, and I just wrapped it to the back. So that essentially makes a little loop and connects the bail to the frame. So there's a little end, the little wire end, and I'm just tucking that into the frame itself. So we have this nice connection here, and the bail is just really connected, and it's just not going anywhere. And this other wire, you could wrap it around the other side as well, but I find that it's pretty well connected that you don't need to do that. with the other wire, you can just trim it off, and you do have a little wire end here. But as long as you do some kind of decoration with these wires, this will all get covered up. So I'm going to now grab my stone, pop that in here, and I'm going to lock in the stone by wedging my pliers in here underneath just that frontmost wire and making that little angular bend. I'm just going to press that wire down onto the stone, and on the other side I'm going to do that as well. It kind of moves around because the stone isn't secure in the back yet, so you might have to like pop the stone back in if it starts to come out. But same thing, just that little angular bend in there. And then here on the back, so my stone does have some translucency, so I don't want to bend these wires like super far back, then you'll see them from the front. So I'm just gonna do kind of some careful little angles, having it go on the edge of the stone to kind of trap the stone in, but not so far as to make it visible from the front. Being a translucent stone, it's a little bit less translucent here on the bottom where it's white, so I can be a little less careful and have these wires, you know, go onto the stone. But then up here, you do want it to kind of not be on the very edge, but trap the stone in. So you want to be able to see a little bit of the stone there, and that'll trap it in, but just not too far, not too much. So I'm just gonna go along this edge to get rid of that little gap that was formed there. I'm gonna adjust my bail a little bit. So here's what we have. The stone is nice and trapped in there now. And it's all about the decoration at the top now with all these wires. There's so many possibilities. We have 4 wires here. I actually haven't 100% thought through what I want to do yet, so I'm just going to do this with you on camera. I do know that this being kind of scenic and looking like a forest, maybe with some clouds, I do want to make like a little leaf shape out of these wires, one of these wires. So that's the only thing that I've planned out, and the rest I'm just going to do on camera. So I'm just going to grab this wire and just bend it this way, and I'm gonna put a little swirl in it. This is actually how I make things a lot of the time. People ask me, you know, do you plan things out? Do you draw it first? And I mean, every once in a while I do have an idea that it is kind of planned that I try to achieve. A lot of times it comes out nothing like what I thought it would. But so sometimes it's a little bit planned, but most of the time I just kind of see where the wires go and just start bending them. So I have this going down, and then I made a little loop here like this. Just a little decorative loop, and now I'm going to have this wire pop here in the back, and I'm going to trim it, and I'm just going to tuck that away in there. And let's see if I can get in there. Oh, there we go. Press that down, get rid of that wire end. This wire here, just kind of have the desire to twist it. I think it'd be nice if we got some twisted wires here in this design. So I'm just gonna give it a twist by holding the wire with my pliers and just twisting the whole piece here. You don't have to do this, but I just like the look of twisted wire. So I'm gonna have this go across here, and then I'm gonna put it through and just grab that end and pull. So it's just going through the bail, coming out the other side here, and I'm just following it along. So now it's kind of just wrapped around the bail. And I'm just gonna trim and make a little swirl out at the end of the wire here. So let me zoom in. So here it is. It's kind of wrapped around. You can see it there, and here's a little end of it. So I'm just gonna grab my round nose pliers, and I like to just squish the end of my wire. That's just how I make my swirls, but however you make your swirls is what you want to do. So I'm just gonna make this nice little tight swirl. Sorry, it's probably kind of hard to see as I'm swirling it because my hands and the pliers kind of cover everything up, but got this nice little swirl here. And I'm just gonna press down on it so it's not sticking up from the bail, so it's just kind of nice and tight. And that's it for those two wires. So now, let me think here what I want to do. So I do want to make a leaf. I think the leaf is going to be the last thing that I do. I'm going to twist this wire as well. It's just not enough twistiness for me. I need to add some twistiness here. So I'm twisting this wire, and I am gonna bring this across like that, and then I'm gonna bring it through. So I'm bringing it to the back, and then from back to front, I'm kind of pulling that wire through there. All right, so it helps to kind of squish it here, like that. So I squished it here. Here it is coming out the front. Squish that, and I want to make another swirl. So this is going to be a little bit of a swirly pendant, kind of a swirly leafy pendant is what I'm feeling with this stone. So I'm gonna squish that little wire end again and make a nice little swirl. And if you don't like swirls, then you could have cut that before you made the swirl. Just, tuck the little wire end away in the back there. So there we have it. I only have one wire left, and now I need to make a leaf because I really wanted to make a leaf there. So let's see. So the way I make my leaves is I make a loop first, like this, and then I squish the loop so that it's like completely squished, and then I open it up like that, and it makes a leaf kind of shape. If I put this back now, it makes like a leafy shape. You can use your pliers to just kind of get in there and bend it more. I'm just thinking how I want that leaf to sit. So if I do this, yeah, I like that. So now I'm just gonna kind of wedge it in here in between the swirl and the other wire. Bring it here to the back, trim it, and tuck away that little wire end there. And there we have it. We have our leafy, swirly pendant there. There we go. Yeah, so I like the way that turned out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.